The top story at this hour, well, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar is presently in China for a crucial bilateral meet that comes days after India's historic decision on Jammu and Kashmir. He's all set to hold talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Ahead of meeting Chinese Foreign Minister, Jaishankar met the Chinese Vice President Wang Qishan. The two-day visit comes at a time when tensions between India and Pakistan are running high in the wake of India's decision to abrogate Article 370. This visit also comes after Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi's visit to China in a last-ditch effort to drum up support for Pakistan's failed diplomatic offensive. Though Pakistan received support from China on many issues, it could only elicit a tepid response from China on scrapping away the Article 370. And while the pre-scheduled trip was mainly planned to lay the groundwork for Prime Minister Modi and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping's meeting later this year, the changed political scenario in Jammu and Kashmir is expected to feature during these talks. We are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibil, for more on this story. Siddhant, very good morning to you. Now, this visit to China is a planned one. We know that. We also know that Jaishankar will be laying the groundwork for Chinese President's trip to India later this year. But this visit also comes at a very crucial point.
Well, yes, today is an important day for India-China, given the fact that the foreign ministers of both the countries will be meeting in Beijing. Of course, it's a pre-scheduled visit, but coming in the backdrop of what we know, Pakistan's failed diplomatic mission to Beijing. We know that the Pakistani foreign minister was in Beijing on Friday, and we saw the press release coming also from Beijing. Of course, Beijing coming out with same old statement, but Beijing also saying that India and Pakistan are two important partners for China. And we also know that when it comes to India-China relationship in last 2 years, especially after the Wuhan informal summit which happened in April, both the countries have made sure that the relationship comes on a positive trajectory. Both the leaders, the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President, met 4 times in 2018. This year, they have already met on the sidelines of the SCO summit, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Kyrgyzstan. And then we saw both the sides now working towards the second informal summit, which will take place in India, which will take place later this year. And the focus will be to make sure that how both the countries can work together when it comes to issues such as trade issues where there are convergences. Of course, we know that there are areas of disputes, but these are two large countries, and both the large countries will be making sure that their differences do not become disputes.
Right, Siddhant. Now we all know, like you just told us, that Jaishankar will be apprising China of the Kashmir move. Now, do you think that this has a potential to tilt China towards India and away from Pakistan on Kashmir?
Well, when it comes to the disputes in the region, India, Pakistan or China, they're not likely to change their positions very soon. But when it comes to India and China, both understand that these are two large countries with large economies, and both have their mission, the fundamental mission to make sure that people are uplifted from poverty, and they're not likely to go towards a major conflict. And after 2017 Doklam crisis, we saw both the sides making a concerted effort to make sure that their disputes are resolved. Both countries are, of course, partners when it comes to groupings such as BRICS, and of course, both the leaders are expected to meet on the sidelines of the BRICS summit as well, which will take place in Brazil later this year. So both countries will understand each other's position and will make sure that these small disputes do not become major differences, given the fact that there are other major priorities. Of course, Pakistan, as always, has been playing a spoil sport in the region. We know that Pakistan says that Beijing is its all-weather friend, but increasingly Pakistan is becoming a liability, given the fact that the country has been openly supporting terrorism. It has been using terrorism as a state policy. There are a number of terrorist groups on its territory, which are not only destabilizing India but also destabilizing Afghanistan. So clearly Pakistan seems to be a big major liability for China, and China increasingly will be taking a cautious stand when it comes to Islamabad.
Right, Siddhant. That was our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibil, getting us the latest on the External Affairs Minister of India, Jaishankar, in China. Thank you, Siddhant. Now, shifting focus, in fact, Jammu and Kashmir, we know, is celebrating Eid today. And last Friday, in fact, the administration eased Section 144 in the region. People were allowed to offer the special Friday prayers. Now, many people were seen thronging mosques in Srinagar and Jammu as well. Now, the markets, in fact, in the region have been opening up. The administration has also been putting in money into the ATMs to help people make purchases. Now, while the situation is returning to normal, security agencies are taking no chances as of now. Security forces have been keeping a strict vigil to ensure maintenance of law and order. In fact, the Indian Navy has also been put on high alert. Inspector General of Police has denied reports of police firing in Kashmir. Listen in to what he had to say.
This is to clarify some international media reports regarding a firing incident in the valley. The report is wrong. No such incident has taken place in the valley. The valley has remained largely peaceful over the last 1 week.